Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me just emphasize the Heartland Institute, more than just about frankly, any other think tank that I've encountered in my nearly 10 years in the movement, is more responsible for sparking big change and reform than anyone else that I've dealt with. And that includes the Heartland Institute, the Institute for Justice, and so I want you to understand something, that it's a significant fact that the Heartland Institute is taking the lead on uniting the Article 5 movement and providing a sort of a neutral place for all of us to organize our efforts and to promote education about what we're trying to do. This is a very significant thing. If there's any group out there that single-handedly stopped the greenhouse gas conspiracy and all of the terrible public policy that could have come out of that, it's the one that's organizing this event. And so there's no other better institution to take on a big, heavy lift like this. Now that being said, Compact for America is around as well, and I'm very pleased to be a part of Compact for America. What separates us from all the other Article 5 efforts is that we are taking a new approach to Article 5. We've looked back on the past 220 years, and we've noticed something. Every single convention effort has failed. Every single one. We've been waiting 220 years since the first Article 5 convention application was produced. And there hasn't been one. Now there's two ways you can approach that fact. You can ignore it, repeat the same exact approach to Article 5 that has yet to produce a single convention, or to try something new. Now mind you, I am guilty of having gone down the same traditional path. I did commission the work by Rob Nagelson at the Heartland Institute. At the time, I didn't think there was any other way. There's no other choice that we have other than to try to get 2/3 of the states on board with an application, hope that Congress calls a convention, hope that the convention is organized and actually drafts something useful, hope that Congress sends it out for ratification, hope that 38 states ratify it. 100+ pieces of legislation, 6 independent legislative stages. I thought that was all that we had. And I went out into the world, starting in about 2010, 2011 with the National Debt Relief Team, trying to succeed in this effort that failed under Reagan, Friedman, and many other people far greater than I, thinking that I would succeed. And I didn't. In that experience, we failed 18 out of 20 states that we targeted. And that was humbling for me. And I'm not a naturally humble person, if you may suspect. But it was humbling for me because I could have gone two ways with that. I could have said, they're all wrong. I'm the only one that's right. Or, much to my dismay, I could have examined my own thinking and what worked and what didn't work. And I unfortunately came to the conclusion that there was a problem with the approach that we were taking. There's a reason why it had failed time and time again. And it wasn't just that the opposition is crazy. There are plenty of folks in the opposition that are, but there are actually some reasonable people in the opposition. And so what you're about to see and hear about is an approach that reflects what I learned in the course of trying to do what everyone else over 200 years have tried and failed to do. And hopefully you'll see that this is truly Article 5 2.0. Now that being said, I will emphasize at the back end of this that we should support every Article 5 effort, because I could be wrong. I have found that out. And every one of these movements has its own unique advantages and disadvantages. The best way to approach the Article 5 movement is the way you approach your investments. You have a portfolio. You don't put your eggs into any one basket, because we all have different risks and rewards. But you support them all, if what you want to do is to save this republic. So the first question I often get hammered is, why bother? Why bother? Nobody follows the Constitution. This is an exercise in absurdity. We're going to put another amendment in that they're going to ignore? We're going to put another provision that they disregard? Take a breath. Folks, that's just not a valid criticism. There are a lot of parts of the Constitution that are being followed perfectly. There are a lot of parts of the Constitution that fell into disuse and disrespect that are now being enforced vigorously. Where was the Second Amendment 10 years ago? I was on a precipice. Now, it's not all the way where it should be, but it's moving forward. And things like being 35 years old to become president, or having 2 terms, there are huge chunks of the Constitution that are perfectly well enforced. And the reason is simple. Human beings, by and large, most of them at least, are rule followers. We are. And the best example I can give of this to prove that the rules matter is, well, maybe 2. I'm sure some of you played Monopoly as a kid, and you noticed that some people cheated the rules, and they had control of the bank, right? But if you didn't have the rules, it would have been easier to catch them or not. And similarly, if you who here hunts or knows someone who hunts? Show hands. Who is familiar with posting property to show hunters that they can't come up? Are you better off posting your property than not posting your property? I mean, does it guarantee that if you have posting all over your property, you're never going to get a stray hunter? No. Does it guarantee that we're not going to have murders if we have a murder law? But are we a lot better off setting down the boundaries? We are. And the same is true of the Constitution and everything in it. These are boundary lines. They matter. They set moral high ground, at the very least. If they're well drafted, they even get enforced from time to time. If you don't take control of the rules of the game, you can't possibly win it. There's a reason why the opposition has taken control of the rules of the game. It's not because it's useless. So remember the analogy to the hunters. And whether you post your land or not, the Constitution matters. It's not perfect, nothing is. But it matters, big time. So why start with a balanced budget amendment? Why a Compact for America when we could have done so many other types of amendments and we thought about it? Why start with something to limit borrowing capacity? Why not something else? There are a lot of great ideas out there. Because we took Thomas Jefferson seriously. Okay, I'm preempting this. In 1798, Thomas Jefferson thought the federal government was already beyond its constitutional authorities. Now, mind you, this is when pretty much everything that was in the Constitution, everything that was enumerated to the powers of the federal government were being followed. I mean, except for the Alien Sedition Act. But at that time, we weren't looking at anything like the kind of federal government we had, but Thomas Jefferson was still upset. And Thomas Jefferson said that there was just one amendment that would restore the Constitution, taking away the power of borrowing from the federal government. I think he earned those sunglasses. Now, why is this a true statement? Why is this an undeniably true statement? Why is it impossible, literally, politically impossible, to have limited government if the federal government has unlimited borrowing capacity, or any government for that matter? It's because politicians can promise anything it takes to get elected at no immediate cost if there's no limit to what they can borrow. And if you have politician A who is Santa Claus at no cost versus politician B who is Senator Coburn, Senator Coburn will certainly win sometimes. He's an extremely persuasive man and a great statesman. But over the trend, over the run of the game, over hundreds of years, who wins most of the time? Can you look back now, 220 years, and doubt who wins in the contest between Santa Claus and Senator Coburn? Nothing limiting government on parchment can compete with the promise to shower goodies on people at the cost of our kids. Because our kids don't vote. There's no political check. Now, I'm not saying that if you fix the debt and limit borrowing capacity, you're going to get to a perfect nirvana of government overnight. I don't think you ever will, frankly. But until you take away this illusion of unlimited resources which enables Santa Claus to compete, nothing else matters. We might get a temporary victory here and there, but the trend will continue. We will plow into that iceberg and we will sink. And we don't have much time left. I think after 200 plus years, it's time to listen to Thomas Jefferson. So, what do we do about it? Here's what we do. We use Article 5 and stop the nonsense that we hear that the founders meant it to be this giant red box of destruction that destroys everything. But think about this. The founders crafted this Constitution, and then they just kind of overlooked this part where they just blow everything up if anybody used it? It's ridiculous. It's offensive. And George Washington knew a little bit about conventions when he said this. He told his friend John Armstrong, don't worry about the new Constitution. It doesn't centralize too much power because 9 states can get the amendments they want. Why did he say that? Because 9 states at the time was 2/3 of the states, the number needed to apply for a convention. He understood what the words meant in Article 5, and I'm about to show you what those words meant, and there is simply no doubt, none, that the founders meant for Article 5 to be fully controlled by the states. The application of the legislature of 2/3 is the basis of calling a convention. The application is not just a resolution. Under the usage of the time, it was a petition. And like any petition, just like your lawyers may do, or if you're a lawyer in court, can ask for anything they want. They can ask for what amendments they want. They can ask for what rules they want. And Congress's only job is to call the convention, and the only thing that the convention can do is be constituted by the petition that led to it. There's nothing else it can do. We know this because the version of Article 5 that existed prior to the final version had Congress proposing amendments on application of 2/3 of the states. Where was Congress going to get the amendments other than from the application? All they did was switch out Congress for a convention. They didn't change the word application. They didn't change its common meaning. And if you had any doubts, I'm going to give you 2 pieces of evidence. I'm going to move fast. But these 2 pieces of evidence are the tip of the iceberg that makes it undeniably clear that the states constitute the convention through their application. They get exactly what they ask for in their application, no more nor less. Congress has no power to add anything to the convention. Exhibit A. Tench Cox, a minor founder at the time, said if 2/3 of those legislatures required it, Congress must call the convention even though they dislike the proposed amendments. Huh? Wait. If you can't specify the amendments in the application, if the Congress does, or if the convention does whatever it wants, how would Congress know not to call the convention on account of they don't like the amendments? Obviously, that statement only makes sense if the application specifies the amendments that are to be proposed by the convention. And if you think that was dyslexia, read the next part. 3/4 of the states concurring, that's the number needed for ratification, will ensure any amendments after the adoption of 9 or more. 9 was 2/3. What was 2/3 of the states adopting? The application. Now maybe you think that's not enough evidence, and this can go on and on, but we don't have time. I'll give you one last piece of evidence for the day. Remember the Alien Sedition Acts? The Alien Sedition Acts said that the senators, in response to the Alien Sedition Acts, could propose an explanatory amendment using the usual 2/3 of each house requirement for Congress. But then he said, you could also say the Alien Sedition Acts were unconstitutional with an explanatory amendment by 2/3 of the legislatures by an application to Congress for the same object. Now think about what he said. Not only do the states target the convention and its agenda to a specific amendment, but that specific amendment is so targeted that it can even be directed to specific legislation. Nowhere is there any notion that the convention does whatever it wants. It's absurd. Would the founders say, Congress, you get to propose any amendments you want. States, you got to organize a black box under the Pelosi rule and see what happens. All right, so why the compact for a balanced budget? I've been told I've got a minute to go, but I'm going to push that one. Look, the law is clear, the law supports all of us. The history is clear, the history supports all of us. But that doesn't mean that the opposition doesn't have a point. And here's the point they have. So what? The law can say whatever it says. The history can be whatever it is. How do you know the political system will follow? So it's important to create an engineered process, a way to use this power so that the law is followed, not just to trust it to work. And that is the difference with the compact approach. What we do in essence is we have the states agree in a legally binding contract to everything in the amendment process in advance. Nothing happens until the ratification member agrees in advance in complete detail to everything that will unfold, and nobody in that agreement goes to the convention until Congress, with simple majorities, blesses it. What does that look like? Instead of 6 independent stages, we have 3 components to Article 5 2.0. 38 states pass one bill with everything fleshed out, including the amendment. Congress passes one resolution with simple majorities, no presidential signature. When the 2 of those things combine, a 24-hour convention is automatically called. You vote up or down that amendment, or you go home. You reduce the number of pieces of legislation from 100 to 39. You reduce the number of legislative stages from 6 to 3. You reduce the time investment from 220 years as current, or 5 years at best, to 1 in principle. Who wants to get in? Now, let me just emphasize, this is a dual-use weapon, just like ballot measures are in the West. Right? The bad guys can do this too. And the genie's out of the bottle now. So it's time to use it. Now, we can save the question of safety for more discussion in the questions period, but let me just emphasize. Remember, we're rules-following creatures. The benefit of the compact approach is you have all of the rules up front. And so you diminish immediately the potential for people doing whatever they feel like. Another important thing about it is we've designed the compact to shut down if anything goes awry. And to shut down in such a way that the bad guys will see it to be more in their interests to shut down the convention than to let it run away. And we've talked about that. We've deliberately skewed the compact approach to kill itself, to shut itself down if things don't go wrong, if things don't go right. And that's because this is our first test run. This is an experiment. It shouldn't be let loose to do whatever might happen. And then finally, what's different about the compact is the amendment is specified, just like, again, a ballot measure. You can read it, you can see what it is, and I can tell you with our experts looking at this for now 4 years, you can't be cheated. It's easy to get a balanced budget amendment and a debt limit in place. You limit the federal government to cash on hand for all their spending. You limit the borrowing capacity to a specific line of credit. You don't let anything else happen. If you want flexibility in that line of credit, you don't give it to Congress to provide it. You don't say, Congress, you can increase your line of credit whenever you like. Instead, you have a referendum to the states. And you require 26 state legislatures to agree to any increase within 60 days of the proposal. Finally, you don't let taxes go wild, but you don't close off the possibility of new revenues because debt is taxes if we pay it back. If we really reduce every bit of spending that we can, and the choices between our kids and us taking it on the chin, we take it on the chin. But you need to create a structure to ensure that is the choice, and here's how we do it. You have a 2/3 requirement to get any income tax or sales tax passed out of Congress, with 2 essential exceptions, plus a 1/3 that is not specified, just not stated, but is in there implicitly. You can switch to a consumption tax, not a VAT, a sales tax, away from all income taxes, no income taxes. You do that with simple majorities and raise revenues. You can switch to a flatter tax code by getting rid of loopholes with simple majorities. Or you can rely more heavily on tariffs and fees. Now, why do we draw the fight for more revenues there? Not because you can't raise a lot of revenue, you can. But we draw the fight there because who is defending those points in the tax code? The Spartans. Now, if you're a politician and you want to close the homeowner's deduction, or you also look over your shoulder and you see you can reduce spending, which looks more attractive? The idea here is you draw the fight for new revenue where the special interests occupy the spaces, will resist it like Spartans, will make the spending reductions look more attractive until we truly do exhaust that possibility, and only then does something like a homeowner's deduction look like something you might want to close. And in that way, we come to a point where the only time revenues are raised is when it really is a choice between our kids and us. So I say, let's get them all done. But I put all my eggs in this basket. And McIntosh has a very interesting way of doing graphs. However, the bottom line here Well, that wasn't like that before, but here we go. All right. Right now, with the Compact for America approach, because we consolidated everything into so many fewer moving parts, we're only 34 state enactments and one 24-hour convention and one simple majority congressional resolution away from an amendment. The goal should be the amendment, not a convention. Convention is a means to an end. However, definitely hedge the compact. This is Article 5 2.0. Article 5 1.0 has a different set of risks and rewards. I'm sure you'll hear about more of them. Support them all. Thank you very much.